Okay, I'm not asking you to do a lot in this video here. Okay, I'm really not. What I want you to do is look at these two parentheses, both of them, and decide what we should put underneath there to divide by. That's literally all you're going to do. You're going to need it. It's part of a bigger thing, but I want to eliminate all possible hang-ups. So here's the three things you check for. First thing you check for is the negative, whether you have to put a negative underneath. Now, look at the first number, the 1. That's positive, so I'm not going to put a negative underneath either of those lines. Okay, again, the 1, that's positive, so no negative in this parentheses. Now look at look at this number here, the 9. That's the only number that matters right there, that 9. It is negative, so I'm going to put negative, negative. Okay? So the negative has been done. Now the next thing I check for is if I have to put X under the lines. Well, for me to put X, both of the numbers have to have X, and we have two X's here. The smaller is to the second, so I put X to the second, X to the second. Now in this parentheses here, they do not both have X, so I don't put X under the line there at all. At all. Okay, and then the next thing I check for is GCF, okay? So I punch in the big numbers into my GCF calculator, so 1 and 6, so I go GCF calculator. You have it up, I need to get it up. Okay, so I punch in 1 comma 6, and I get 1. Okay, so I'm going to put a 1 down there. Then 9 and 54. Okay, I'm going to put a 9 underneath there. That's all you have to do. Okay. Now there's more to that, but we'll see it later on. Okay, next one, first negative. Right here, very first number is positive, so don't put a negative under those lines. In the second parentheses, the very first number is negative, so we put negative, negative. Okay. Now I check for X. Do both these have X's? Yep, there's two X's there, so I got to put X, and I got to put the smaller power, which would be to the second power. Both of these numbers do not have X, so we don't put X at all. Okay, and then I go GCF. Okay, so 1 and 5. And I got a 1. Okay, so I put 1 with that. And then 16 and 80. I put a 16 with that, okay? Okay, that's it. So I divide by 1x to the second there, by negative 16 there, which I will. Okay, next problem. Number 3 things to check for. Negative. So I do not have a negative on the first number, right? Remember, the first number is all that matters, nothing else. That's positive, so I don't put negative. Here the first number is negative, so I want to put negative, negative. Okay, now I check for X. Now we have two X's there, so I go to this. Both of these have X, so I go X to the second, X to the second. Here they do not both have X. That second 16 does not, so I don't put X at all. They both have to have X for you to put an X under. Okay, then GCF calculator, that's your next thing. There's always 3 things to look for, those 3 things. Okay, so 1 and 1, the GCF's 1, so we'll put 1 with the X to the second. And then 16 and 16. GCF 16, okay. Okay, next problem. Draw those lines, sorry, they're not there. So first I check for the negative. So look at just the first parentheses. First number is not negative, so I don't put negative. Here the first number is negative, so we need a negative under there. Now I check for x, okay? So both of these have x, so I take x to the smaller power, which this time is the second, not the first. And I don't put x here because 27 is missing x, okay? Now, last thing, GCF, calculate your values, 2 and 3. Greatest common factor of 2 and 3 is 1. 18 and 27, remember, just punch in 18. I got 9, okay, so negative 9, okay. Okay, next up, negative here, nope. First check the negative. But a negative does belong here because the very first number in that parentheses is negative. Okay, now I check for x. Okay, now we have x's here, third power, second power, so I always take the smaller power. I have x here but not here, so I don't put x at all. Okay, then 1 and 3. GCF there is 1, so I put a 1 with that. Then 4 and 12. GCF's 4, so put a 4 with your negative. Okay, next up, oops, sorry. So negative, and then check for x, then GCF, those three things. So the 1 here is positive, so we don't put a negative. The first number here is negative, so I do put negative. Okay, x, well, I got 2 x's. To the second power is the smaller of the two. And I can't put any kind of x here because that second number is missing x. Okay, now GCF calculate. 1 and 1. Okay, that's a 1 GCF. And then 4 and 4. It's going to be a 4. Whenever they're the same number, it ends up being that number. That's a 4 GCF. Okay, next up. So that is positive, so don't put negative. But this first number is negative. We got to put 2 negatives there, both of them. Okay, now the x's. Okay, both have x's, so to the second power. Do not both have x's, so no x. Now 1 and 11. I get 1. And then 9 and 99. I get 9. Okay. Okay. Positive, so no negative. Negative, so negative, negative. Now x's, I have 2 x's to the second. And that second number is missing an x, so I can't put x. I can't divide by x. Okay, now GCF, calculate your numbers. 4 and 7. Okay, I got 1. 16 and 28. Got 4. Okay. Boom. Again, that's something you're going to need on the next thing we do.